Hello, this is the Chess Man, bringing you a Niemzowitsch game. This game comes from his book, Chess Praxis, the Praxis of My System, and we're going to be going over his system, his hyper-modern system eventually. But this first chapter, and this second, it's actually the second game, but this first chapter is about centralization. So, centralization, center, control, whatever. And Niemzowitsch is playing black, and he capitalizes on white's neglect of the center. So, let's get into the game. English opening was played. Black's defense was pawn to e6. Knight to c3 was played, putting some pressure on this. d5 square. Black plays knight to f6. Now here, I believe this is a positional blunder because it leaves this square weak, the d4 square, which black capitalizes with pawn to c5. Now what I would have done, I believe, was pawn to e3, and then preparing pawn to d4. And I believe that would be a stronger position for white, but that's not what was played. Now, pawn to g3. This neglects the center to fianchetto the bishop, and this was the first positional blunder, the first big blunder by white, already early in the game. So, black responds with d5. White attacks the black knight. Black attacks the white knight, so it's okay. White takes the knight. Black takes the knight. Now here is the first major decision for white. Which pawn do you take this c3 square? Will you use the d-file pawn or the b-file pawn? Or you can even do this f6 pawn taking the g7 pawn, destroying black's king side, and black probably wouldn't castle king side if you did that. What was played was the d-file pawn takes that c3 pawn. The move queen to f6 was played, but I would personally have taken this white queen. I'd be so tempted to take. Of course, white has to take back the queen. Now, here's the reason why that wouldn't be good, because yeah, you take away white's castling rights, but this pawn on this f6 square is so annoying. Now if you neglect it, now this pawn is really powerful. Or if you take, now you wouldn't want to castle king side, because put your king on the semi-open g-file isn't that good. And then castling queen side will take some time, but that wasn't played, so queen takes the f6 pawn was played. White moves his knight. Black moves his h6 pawn, getting rid of this annoying bishop move. But He fiend shadows the bishop. Black's response was bishop to d7. Knight to d2 was played. So right now the bishop's attacking that sensitive b7 square, and this knight is going to move out here attacking Black's queen. So first the bishop is played to c6. White moves his knight. Black moves his queen. Now look, there's two attackers and only one defender. So White's next move was queen to e2. Now bishop to b7 will allow Black to castle. White castles, Black castles. Now this is as far as I'm going to go in the opening, and that's as far as I'm going to go in this video, but we'll go over two variations. The first variation is, let's start from the beginning. Right here. Now White played pawn to g3, but knight to f3 is a better move. It has more center control. Now Black would respond, knight to c6, then pawn to d4 would be played. C-file pawn takes that, d-file pawn, knight takes the d-pawn. Bishop goes to b4. Now here, what would you do? Of course you can't move this knight, can't remove the pen. If you moved this pawn here, you would get rid of Black's this d4 knight only defender, which is the queen. Moving the pawn to a3 isn't that good, because then you double up pawns and it's not that good. So queen to d3 was played, and that's a very good opening for White. Good center control, but White neglected, of course, by playing g3. Now, of course, Black capitalizes. Now here's the next mistake. Do you take with the d-file pawn or the b-file pawn? White, of course, took with the d-file pawn, but taking with the b-file pawn isn't bad. This is pretty good. So let's say Black took the f6 pawn. Now pawn push to the center. Black takes, White takes. Now here, Black does have this bishop's move. Bishop to attacking that, checking the king. Black defends. Now White here takes the d4 pawn. It looks like he's sacrificing a whole piece. For what? So White capitalizes, offering in a queen exchange. Black doesn't accept and moves his queen to e4. Now it creates a nice fork. So it looks like Black is gonna get more material, but this isn't the case. It's a bad move.